My name is Sarah. I grew up Amish in Pennsylvania, and I'm not Amish anymore. And I want to talk about something that almost every Amish girl experiences, but almost nobody explains honestly to outsiders. What happens if an Amish woman likes a man? Because from the outside, people imagine two extremes. Either Amish girls have zero choice and everything is arranged, or Amish girls are secretly living some wild double life. Real life is quieter than that, and honestly, more intense in a different way. Feelings are real, crushes are real, rejection is real, but the rules around how you show it are completely different than what most people are used to. First, you need to understand how Amish life is built. It's community first. You're not just a girl with a crush. You're a daughter in a family, in a church district, with a reputation that belongs to more than just you. People know who your parents are, who your siblings are, what farm you're from, where you work, and who you've been seen talking to. Amish communities are close, and that closeness can feel safe, but it also means you don't get to disappear into anonymity when your heart starts acting up. So what happens when you like a man? Usually, it starts in the most normal ways. You notice him at a Sunday evening singing. You notice how he carries himself, how he talks to older people, whether he's steady or showy, whether he seems kind or careless. You might notice his buggy at the hitching rail. You might hear about him from cousins or friends. You might work near him if your community has businesses. It's not like Amish youth never meet, they do, but it's structured, it's public, and it's watched, even when no one is watching. In a lot of Amish communities, courtship tends to begin with the man making the first move. A very common path is that a young man offers a ride home after a Sunday evening singing. That ride is a big deal. It's not flashy, but it's a signal. It's the moment where something shifts from, we're in the same youth group, to, I might be interested in you. And yes, the girl has a choice. She can say no, she can avoid the situation, she can be busy. Amish marriages are not typically arranged like outsiders assume. Most people choose their spouse from within their Amish world, and the choosing is real, even if the options are shaped by the community. Now, what does an Amish girl do if she likes a man first? A lot of the time, she doesn't do anything obvious. She becomes careful. She positions herself where conversation can happen naturally. She makes sure she's at events. She doesn't chase him down in front of everyone, because in Amish culture, being too forward can bring embarrassment. And embarrassment is serious, not dramatic, not loud, but serious. So an Amish girl might show interest in small ways. She might talk a little longer than she needs to. She might be more present when he's around. She might pay attention to whether he's looking back. She might encourage a friend to mention something, because indirect communication is safer than direct communication when gossip is the price of being obvious. But the moment she thinks he might like her too, the pressure begins. Because now it's not just a feeling, it's a potential relationship. And relationships in Amish culture are expected to move toward marriage, not drift around like casual dating. So if he likes her back, what happens? He starts calling. That's the word. Calling means visiting her home, usually in the evening, often on Sunday nights. In many families, he'll come in, sit at the table or in the sitting area, and talk with her. Sometimes the family's in another room, sometimes they're nearby, but the whole point is that it's not hidden. It's understood. It's visible enough that it doesn't turn into a secret. And here's something outsiders don't always get. Amish courtship can look strict because there aren't a lot of public displays of affection. But that doesn't mean there's no closeness. It means closeness is handled privately and carefully, and what's acceptable depends on the local church standards. Each district has its own expectations, and those expectations can be stricter or looser depending on the group. What happens emotionally for the girl is this constant balancing act. You're excited, but you're trying not to be obvious. You're hopeful, but you're trying not to get your name attached to a rumor. You're trying to be a good girl, but you also want to know if this could be your future husband. And if you're wondering what Amish women look for, it's not that different from what anyone looks for when marriage is the goal. Is he dependable? Does he work hard? Is he respectful? Does he have a temper? Is he faithful in church? Is he steady with money? What kind of family does he come from? Because you don't just marry a man, you join a whole network. Now let's talk about the part people are really asking, even if they don't say it out loud. What happens if an Amish woman likes a man and it's not allowed? There are a few versions of not allowed. One is simple. He doesn't like her back. That happens all the time and it hurts. But Amish culture doesn't have a lot of space for processing heartbreak out loud. You don't post about it. You don't rant. You don't make it everyone's business. You swallow it. You keep showing up. You keep working. You keep going to singings. And you try not to let your face show what your heart is doing. Another version is he likes her, but their families don't approve. Family approval matters not in a my dad will choose for me way, but in a do we think this is wise way. If a man has a reputation for being reckless or lazy or disrespectful, a girl's parents might strongly discourage it. And discouragement in Amish life can feel like a wall, not because you're physically trapped, but because you know the cost of going against your parents and your church. The cost is relational, and relational cost is heavy in a community that depends on each other for everything. Another version is he's from a different Amish affiliation or his church district has different standards, and that can become complicated fast. In many cases, Amish people marry within their own circle because church expectations shape daily life. If one district is stricter and the other is more lenient, the question becomes, where will the couple join church after marriage? Whose rules will they live under? That can cause real tension. Another version is the one that's the hardest. She likes a man who is already married. That's where everything turns serious, because Amish communities don't treat marriage like a flexible contract. Divorce is generally not accepted. Marriage is meant to be for life. So if an Amish woman develops feelings for a married man, she is expected to shut it down immediately and protect not only her own name, but his family, his wife, his children, and the peace of the community. Even being seen in situations that look emotionally intimate can trigger suspicion. And suspicion is dangerous in Amish life because it spreads quietly and sticks. So what actually happens in real life if that kind of thing is suspected? Most of the time it starts with talk, not public humiliation, not screaming, talk. People notice patterns. A woman is too friendly, a man is too helpful, they're seen together too often, they stand too close, they laugh too much. Amish communities are observant. Then the pressure arrives through social correction. People pull back. People go cold. Someone older might say something to a parent. A minister might give a warning. The goal is to stop the situation before it becomes a bigger sin and a bigger scandal. Now, another version of not allowed is liking someone outside the Amish. This one is real, and it happens more than people think, especially in communities where Amish work alongside non-Amish in markets or construction or small businesses. A girl might meet an English man through work or through a neighbor or through a ride situation. She might like his confidence or his freedom or his way of speaking directly, and he might like her gentleness and her calm. But here's the reality. In most Amish communities, if you marry outside, you're not staying Amish. Marriage is tied to church membership and community life. So if an Amish woman truly wants an English man, she's often facing a choice, the man or the life. And that choice is not romantic the way movies make it. It's painful. Because leaving doesn't just mean changing clothes. It can mean losing daily contact with family, losing your support system, losing the only world you've ever understood, and stepping into a new world where you don't automatically know the rules. So if you're an Amish woman and you like a man outside, you might hide it. You might try to crush the feeling down. You might pray harder. You might throw yourself into work. Or if it grows big enough, you might start quietly preparing to leave. And then there's the version that outsiders label with one word like it explains everything: Rumspringa. In some Amish communities, teenagers and young adults go through a period where they have more social freedom before they decide to join the church as adults. But even there, the reality depends on the community. Not every group treats Rumspringa the same way. In many places, it's less wild rebellion and more, this is the youth stage where courtship happens, singings happen, visiting happens, and eventually you decide whether to be baptized. It's not a free-for-all for everyone. It's a season where youth life is more active and where marriage is often on the horizon. So what happens if an Amish woman likes a man during that stage? It can move fast, not in a careless way, but in a serious way. Because once a relationship forms, the community expects it to either end cleanly or head toward engagement. An engagement in Amish life is not a casual promise. It's a public statement that you're about to build a household. Weddings are planned. Church leaders are involved. Families are involved. It's not just two people, it's two families joining. Now let's talk about the part that makes this topic feel intense. How limited an Amish woman's options can feel while she's inside. When you grow up Amish, your world is small by design. That's the point. A small world protects the community from outside influence. But it also means that if you like someone, it feels bigger than it would in the outside world because you can't just open an app and meet someone new. You can't just move to another city and start over without consequences. If you like the wrong person or the right person at the wrong time, you have to carry that feeling while still seeing them at community events, church gatherings, and family connections. So what do Amish women do with those feelings? A lot of women turn feelings into prayer and patience. That's not a cliche. It's a coping tool. You learn to wait. You learn to hope quietly. You learn to accept that you can't control everything and you can't demand clarity. You can't corner someone and say, "Tell me what we are." You watch. You listen. You wait for actions. And when it works out, it can be beautiful in a grounded way. Amish courtship is not built on showing off. It's built on consistency. A man keeps coming. He keeps calling. He keeps showing up. He keeps choosing you in front of your family and your world. And for a lot of women, that steadiness feels safer than modern dating. But when it doesn't work out, the heartbreak can be quiet and lonely because you're expected to be strong, modest, and composed. And you don't always have language for your emotions, especially if you've never been encouraged to talk openly about romance. So, here is the honest answer to what happens if an Amish woman likes a man. If he likes her back and they're both free to marry, it usually becomes a courtship that happens through visits, family awareness, and community expectations, and it can lead to engagement and marriage. If he doesn't like her back, she usually suffers quietly, protects her dignity, and tries again without making it a public story. If he's the wrong match according to family, church standards, or reputation, the relationship may be discouraged or ended, sometimes gently and sometimes painfully. If he's married or the relationship threatens the peace of the community, social correction and church influence can step in quickly. And if he's outside the Amish world, her feelings can turn into the biggest decision of her life: stay and let it go, or leave and face the cost.